Hello, Governor. Okay, that was a horrible British accent, but someone with a great British accent is Roger Hines, subject librarian at Sheffield-Hallam University, sharing his success stories on marketing the library's resources on campus and proper student referencing techniques on this episode of BPTV. Roger, you and I were talking earlier about an issue that you faced here at the university regarding referencing and students referencing. Can you talk a little bit about that sure. to our audience?
Yeah, sure. I think the problem we faced was that we were getting reports that our students weren't doing references very well. In fact, we had some quite negative reports from external examiners. Mm. But we were picking up ourselves that help desk students were having trouble with referencing. I think it's partly because it's not a skill that they picked up particularly well at school. Okay. But also I think in today it's a lot more difficult to reference than it was 20 years ago, because there are a lot more types of information they can reference. There's a wider range of things they can use. And also, whilst the electronic environment is really wonderful, but it also makes you say that, because we did have a comment from an academic exactly saying that it's quite static and it's very text. And that's true, referencing is quite text-based. But it sort of ties in with another problem that students had. Okay. The problem is that we found that students, they do a Google search, and whether we like it or not, they will use Google and Google Scholar, as you know, and they find material, and they look at it at the screen, and they actually are not altogether sure what it is they're looking at. Mm. It's just a web page. So you get academics will come in and they show you a list of references, and all they get in the list of references were a list of URLs.
And that's not proper referencing.
And that's not proper referencing. And it is very. Okay. We've done a very short guide to referencing, but we've also done something we tell them not to print out, which is a very, very lengthy guide, which they can use in Word format or they can use in Adobe format. Okay. And what we've done is we've given some general guidelines on referencing, on why you should reference. And that's really important because they don't always understand why you have to reference, how you can avoid plagiarism. And then we give lots and lots of examples. I mean, it's up to 60 pages now.
Really?
And it's searchable, so you can type in blog. But what we do is we do something called how to recognise what you're looking at on the screen and how you pick out the elements to put in your reference. So, for example, we've used Elsevier with the permission, as we said. So it comes up and says, okay, if you're looking at an item, how do you know that this is an electronic journal, as you saw? So it's got a commentary and it's got visuals on the screen. So we show a web page that's got an Elsevier journal article on it, and then it comes in and it describes the different elements there are that will lead you to believe that it's a journal article.
The library's resources. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about some of what you've done that you found to be helpful or successful in building awareness?
I don't think there's one thing. I think there's a huge range of things. We do a lot of user education, like lots of university libraries. We've developed, like a lot of places, we've developed an information literacy or information fluency framework. Okay. On that we put examples of best practice, and what we're going to do is we're going to try and publicise that amongst academics, because one of the things I think that is we do lots of classes with students, but one of the biggest things really is to get to the academic staff. Because if you get to them and build an awareness with them and of the things you can do, then you get a greater chance of getting classes and getting into the students. Things we have from the display screens.
Yes, okay. These big display screens that you have on each floor of the library. Yeah.
And one of the things we do occasionally is we have stuff about when we're open. At the moment we have Malaysian students here, so we've got Selamat Datang with the Malaysian flag to welcome the Malaysian students to Sheffield. But what we also start to do sometimes is we'll put up a screen about a particular database as well. So and we try to pick fairly general ones. So for example, not your product, one that I know that students picked up on was we bought the Times Digital Archive, which gives you the London Times back to its first issue back in the late 18th century. So the students have got a whole run they can search. And this is something that's not free normally. And we put up a nice picture of that and about that and about these fantastic news resources. And we certainly picked up that.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Roger, for spending a few moments with the BPTV audience. And we'd like to thank you for your time and attention as well. And Roger Hines, subject librarian here at Sheffield-Hallam University in Sheffield, sharing his best practices with you. See you next time on BPTV. I'm Dash Brookins. Take care.